Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, welcome back to my video. The previous video I was talk about the novel, but now I'm not gonna talk about the novel. And this video I wanna talk about the textbook that I review before for ER assignments. And before I start to introduce the title of the textbook and the contents of the textbooks, I'd like to introduce myself again. My name is Fadia Nuralika. I'm from class 4D, Department of English Education, Faculty of Educational Sciences, Syarif Hidayatullah Islamic University Jakarta. And yes, I think it's a long introduction, and I believe I know you know me. And now I will start telling about this textbook. The title of this textbook is What Teachers Need to Know About Teaching Methods. It was written by Peter Wesrwood, published by Camberwell ACER Press 2008, and that published on 2008. Number of pages is 114 and has 7 important chapters. The type of book is reference. Okay guys, before I'm going to retell this textbook, I wanna explain and I wanna say about the meaning of teaching and the history of teaching method. And a teaching method is characterized by a set of principles, procedures, or strategies to be implemented by a teacher to achieve desired learning in students, according to Liu and Shi 2007. And in the first half of the 20th century, the dominant form of pedagogy was almost entirely teacher-directed instruction, together with heavy use of textbooks, drill, and practice, and the focus was clearly on mastery of subject matter, and little thought was given to how best to facilitate such learning in students. And in every lesson, teacher tended to lecture and demonstrate first, then set their student desk work to do, and the next is by 1970, teachers were being encouraged to use a project approach and to engage students in more group work. There are some students and some teachers researched even these modest changes. And then the period from the 1970s to 2000 saw a sudden growth in educational research exploring the effects of different approaches to teaching, and simultaneously research is in the field of psychology was continuing its investigations into how humans learn, how they acquire knowledge, how they process information, and how they develop skills and strategies, and how they think and reason. And now the appropriateness and efficacy of a particular teaching method can be considered in relation to the type of learning it is supposed to bring about, and in relation to characteristic of the learners. Yeah, okay, now it's time to me explain about the content of this textbook and the existing chapters and subchapters. And yeah, for the chapter 1 is conceptualizing learning and teaching. The rationalize for two opposing teaching styles were discussed in this chapter, on based on constructivist ideas and the other on instructivist or direct teaching ideas, and the developing agreement among educational psychologists and methodologists is that the questions should should not be which of the two methods is superior, but rather which technique is superior for teaching what sort of curricular content. And both constructive and instructional methods of teaching have essential roles and play in the large content of education. And the chapter 1, there are subchapter. For the first subchapter is constructivism, active learning, deconstructing constructivism, direct teaching and direct instruction, and interactive whole class teaching. For the chapter 2, the chapter is direct teaching methods, suitability for purpose. This chapter discusses direct teaching approaches for the early stage of acquiring skills and strategies. And direct approach have allowed to over if utilized correctly to attain certain aims. And chapter 2, there are subchapters are varieties of direct teaching, lectures, classroom mini lectures, and teacher direct lesson. And the last subchapters is the important role of direct teaching. And the next chapters is student-centered methods, suitability for purpose. This chapter 3, student-centered methods, suitability for purpose, discuss how to apply a student-centered approach. Relevant methods, certain teaching approaches were evaluated for the suitability for presenting specific sort of subject matter and attaining certain goals with students. And this chapter 3, there are many subchapters, include student-centered approaches, inquiry-based methods, discovery learning, problem-based learning, project-based learning, research-based learning, and the last, computer-assisted learning. For the chapter 4, the chapter is teaching methods, suitability for students. This chapter 4 discusses teaching approaches, how adapting instruction to the characteristic of pupils while presenting specific sort of subject and achieving goals with students. This chapter 4, there are 4 subchapters. There are young learners, gifted students, students with learning difficulties, and the last subchapters is students with disabilities. And the next chapters, this chapter 5 is effective teaching. The chapter 5, this chapter discusses the efficacy of instructors and students in terms of attitude. While lecturing to assist pupils, the instructor organizes efficient learning tactics and become more productive in class. And chapter 5, there are many subchapters. There are process product research, beyond process product studies, key evidence from research on teacher effectiveness, and criticism of the effective teaching data, pedagogical skills of effective teachers, cooperative learning and the use of groups. And the last subchapters in this chapter is peer tutoring and peer assistance. For the next chapter, the chapter 6. So chapter 6 is assessment of learning. This chapter focuses on evaluating pupils' present knowledge and skills, should serve as a guide for instructors' preparation and instruction. Form of assessment is included. This chapter 6, there are many subchapters. There are purpose of assessment, formative assessment, testing, curriculum-based assessment, outcomes-based education, and the last subchapters is assessment should lead to improve teaching. Alright, move to the next chapter, to the last chapter in this textbook. The chapter is the gap between research and practice. This chapter is about methods that support the effectiveness of certain teaching and include the choice of method between research and practice about the teaching with students. This chapter, there are five subchapters. The subchapters that are research appears not to impress teaching, perpetuating the use of unproven methods to effective models that are rarely used, and perhaps the pendulum is beginning to swing. And the last subchapter in the last chapters is research-based methods. If guys, I think I have explained all the contents of these textbooks. What teachers need to know about teaching methods book. This textbook describes the many philosophies of teaching and learning, as well as their underlying ideas and methods. The book describes the role of the instructor in the learning process and examines the most recent research on what factors contribute to good practice. And yeah, what I like about this book, these textbooks, apart from the clear explanation, this book also explains the explanation related to pedagogies about the proper place of directly telling students things instructive is, or teacher students or teacher centers pedagogies, and forcing students to explore and generate answer of their own, constructivist or student-centered pedagogy. And yeah, I think that's enough for me. After reading this book, and I had the opportunity to review this book, I learned a lot about the procedures of being a teacher, what to do when teaching and making students good students. And however, I learned a lot from this book to be a good teacher later. And this book is very good to be read by a teacher or someone who wants to be a teacher in the future, like me. And I highly recommend this book to be read. I hope you guys can clearly and can understand of my explanation. Thank you for watching and listening this video, and see you on my video soon. Thank you very much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and goodbye.